Time now is 7:26. Technology is always evolving, and with that, we bring you 3D printing. What is it, and why would it be useful to you? Our resident tech expert and owner of That Computer Store, Steven Miano, is in the house. He's here to tell us what it all means. All right, Steven, let's just break this all down.
Sure.
3D printing, what is it?
Okay, so we're all familiar with traditional printing.
Exactly.
Like this, we have paper all over the studio, at our homes, and school projects. Yeah, paper. That's two-dimensional printing. 3D printing is basically exactly what it sounds like, taking an object, a 3D object, and recreating it in 3 dimensions using a material. And we'll talk about materials in a second. But basically recreating an item out of a 3D model.
That's pretty cool. So what materials are we talking about here?
A number of materials. The plastic is one of the most popular because it's easy to obtain. There's ABS plastic and some other types. My favorites are chocolate.
Like chocolate that we eat?
Like chocolate, yeah. You can fit your 3D printer with a chocolate nozzle.
Okay.
Food, they have 3D food printers. So you could print your pizza instead of making it by hand if you're super lazy, I guess. I don't know. Wood is a cool one, and even metal, depending on how much you want to invest in the project.
Good. So how does it all work?
Well, you have a little, it's called an extruder nozzle. Have you ever made like cookies and you put the icing on the cookies?
Yes, in that tube that.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So it's kind of like that, but different. It basically, it heats up this material and it squirts it out while a machine basically moves back and forth and up and down and left and right to draw out teeny tiny layers of that object. Yeah.
So why would people need a 3D printer, and what does it look like, whatever is produced?
Why would people need a 3D printer? Okay, there actually are a number of uses. One would be if you wanted to make your very own Star Wars toys.
Check that out, folks. Made by Steven. I'm going to go ahead and hold it up. I know that our director will get a shot of it.
This is an example of Darth Vader, and this is actually not a very high resolution 3D print. I have a better one here of Yoda.
Okay, we'll go ahead and put those two together. So, folks, of course, we're talking about 3D printing. If you're just tuning in and you're trying to figure out, why do I have this in my hand?
Yeah, Yoda looks pretty good, actually.
Absolutely. Wow. 3D printing. Steven Miano, why would someone need a 3D printer?
Well, we're looking at using this at the store to print up, for example, laptop parts. Someone may have snapped a cover inside their laptop that holds their wireless card down or something like that. We could, instead of ordering that part, getting it 3 or 4 days later, we could print it using a 3D model. It's used for spare parts, prosthetic hands and legs. This has been a big thing recently. It's called the Robo Hand, and this gentleman, they used him as a test. He had a $42,000 prosthetic hand. He's had it for years. They had him try the Robo Hand, which cost $50 to make. And he actually
saving money.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah.
He prefers that to the super expensive myoelectric hand. And it's not as sturdy, but if a part breaks, well, he just goes over, reprints that part.
And of course, there's a lot of positives, but then there's some critics because there's been some controversy about 3D printed weapons.
Yeah, we've talked about the Liberator, the 3D printed handgun. There's been a 3D printed rifle now, different printed gun parts, which that does raise a lot of controversy. Like any disruptive technology, it can be misused. Copyright infringement is another one where, you see we have these little Star Wars toys that we've made, and somebody modeled those. Well, it wouldn't take a lot to use a 3D scanner to scan maybe an action figure or a model.
And what if that person begins to produce it and make them
and then bootleg those? Yeah, so like intellectual property is kind of a big issue with this because Lucas made a lot of money with Star Wars toys.
And of course, just think about if you could actually make something that looks similar to what Lucas made. You're talking about big bucks for you personally.
Yeah, and these are relatively high resolution. And what I say by resolution, you can't really tell because of the camera.
It looks close enough.
Yeah, there's little lines on there. It's not exactly a smooth surface. Well, as 3D printing gets better, or if you use different materials, you can get an even higher resolution. Some of the examples I've seen are almost indistinguishable from the real thing.
I'll hand the power back over to you.
Use the force, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, Steven Miano, owner of That Computer Store. We're talking all things 3D printing. If you just missed the segment, we'll have it up on our website later on today at WACH.com. And the other segments that we've covered here on Tech Talk, make sure you visit us.
Yes.
Steven, thanks so much for that.
Thanks for having me.
Stay with us. There's more Good Day coming up. The top 5 things you need to know.